All right. Well, I guess we look at the test summer ahead. First of all, I'd just like to chat about the fast bowling trio of Pat Cummins, Josh Hazlewood, and Mitchell Starc. This is a bit of a big question to start off with, but where do you think they rank in terms of the greatest trios Australia's seen? We've seen Vaughan, McGrath, Lee for the West Indies. We've seen Walsh, Ambrose, and Bishop. Where do you think they rank?
Yeah, that's a hard-nosed question to start. Um, well, I think they're certainly in the conversation. Um, whether they're quite at the level of Warren McGrath and co. Yeah, I would doubt. You look at the likes of Glenn McGrath and Shane Warne over that generation of the '90s, early 2000s. They pretty much won everything that came their way. Pat and his team are doing a similar thing this last year with the Test Championship, retaining the Ashes, winning the World Cup in India, which was as good as I've seen in terms of white ball cricket. But they haven't won the Ashes in England yet. They've retained them twice the last two times, but I think that they're certainly in a conversation of being a part of that great kind of bowling groups that you've mentioned. But I'm not quite sure at the minute that they're at the top of that list.
So, do you think maybe an Ashes series victory in England might put them atop?
Yeah, I think great Australian teams. You go back to the '90s and 2000s, um, the early part of the 2000s. The Australian sides used to go to England and absolutely hammer the England team. So I think the last two times that Australia have been to England, particularly in 2019, where I thought they were the better team by a country mile. I'm not too sure they were in the last Ashes series just a few months ago. I felt like England played a style of cricket that shocked Australia, but Australia retained the Ashes. They managed to hang on to the little urn, which was great for them. But yeah, I do think they have to be a part of a team that comes to England and not only retains the Ashes, but absolutely wins the Ashes in UK conditions.
So, if we're looking at the top of the batting order, David Warner has indicated that he will be retiring from Test cricket in 2024. Andrew McDonald suggested that there could be a bit of a shuffle in the batting lineup. What do you think of that? Do you think we could see maybe Marnus Labuschagne open, or is it someone from Shield cricket who has been knocking the door down that will get that spot, do you think?
Well, when you hear the word shuffle, that suggests that he's going to manoeuvre people that are
Mm.
already in the side, and that suggests to me that they may look to either Marnus to go up from 3 to 2, or maybe Cameron Green. I think Mitchell Marsh has done such a good job down in the middle as being that explosive game changer. I wouldn't be moving him, but someone like Cameron Green, I'm a massive admirer of Cameron Green. I think he's going to be a superstar in the future. I just think he's got as long as his body withstands the bowling element of the game. But it wouldn't surprise me if Cameron Green gets thrown into the top of the order. He's got a decent technique, plays the quick bowling nicely, and he's probably better against the pace than he is against spin. So it might not be a bad move for Cameron Green to get that opportunity. And I guess the likes of Cameron Bancroft, who's been in the runs in Shield cricket, Matthew Renshaw will get a heavy mention on the back of that 100 against Pakistan a few days ago. Marcus Harris has been around quite a while, waiting in the wings. But if I was Australia, I wouldn't be thinking that you have to go with the grain of what Test match cricket usually is, i.e., picking someone that opens the batting in domestic cricket. I think someone like Cameron Green could do a decent job if he's given a run of games at the top of the order. Particularly the way that he plays pace is fine, and he's very susceptible to facing spin when he first goes out there and opening the batting. You don't face too much spin at the top of the order.
Talking about Cameron Green, he's at the moment, it looks like he's lost his spot to Mitchell Marsh. Marsh will be the number 6 batsman in this upcoming series. There's very few top line test players that do not get dropped throughout their whole career. Are you backing him to bounce back in years to come? He's only 24, he's very young, he's still learning his trade. How long a career do you think he can still have?
Oh, I think he's every bit of what Australia needs to be kind of in the future. He's had a decent time of it. Young players generally come in into the team, they can have impacts, and then they lose a bit of form, bit of confidence. I guess his kind of position was taken by Mitchell Marsh, who I'm a huge admirer of Mitchell Marsh. I think he's just a great character. I've never quite understood why Australia's not loved him a bit more. I think he's absolutely everything that Australia stands for. And with the fact that he's now won a T20 World Cup, a 50-over World Cup, he's doing well in Test match cricket. That innings that he played at Henley in the Ashes last year was up there with the special Ashes hundreds. He offers you a bit with the ball. He fields nicely. Great character in the dressing room. I've never quite understood why everyone in Australia is not bowing down to someone like Mitchell Marsh. I think he's fantastic. And around that, you've got Cameron Green, who's different. He's a bit quieter, a bit taller, probably not quite as explosive off the field as Mitchell Marsh is. I'm not giving too much away there, but different characters that play the game in a similar fashion. And having those two in the same side, offering you just an element of a different style of bowling in terms of Mitchell pitch it up and swings it. Cameron hits the deck and gets a lot of bounce. If you've got two bowlers in your top six, it really gives you great options of which kind of variations you're going to in terms of the rest of your bowling attacks. So, Cameron Green's going to be around for a while. I have no doubt about that.
Warner's impact on the Test team throughout his very, very storied career has been massive. 25 Test centuries. He's currently 7th on the all-time runs. How do you think he'd be remembered as a player?
Oh, he's one of the greats. I mean, I don't understand why people aren't talking of him of being a great, great player. I guess it's the fact that he's made mistakes in the past. But I guess there's friction there with him and a few ex-players. I guess there's friction there with him and a few Australian supporters about what happened in Cape Town a few years ago. But if you actually put all that to one side and just look at his numbers, he's only had one blip. And his one blip is batting in England against Stuart Broad around the wicket. Other than that, he's pretty much dominated wherever he's played, whether it's been in 2020 cricket, 50-over cricket, Test match cricket. His record here in Australia is fantastic. 25 Test match centuries. You talk about all the greats of the game, and I go back to the late 90s, early 2000s of that great Australian side. Not many of them got 25 Test match centuries, and yet here we are with a player like David Warner, who's 3 Test matches away from saying goodbye, and all the talk is should he get that opportunity to play in Sydney? Absolutely, he should. And I guess in the next 2 games, if he gets no runs, there'll be more pressure of why he should get that opportunity. But I'm a believer there's not many get that fairy tale moment to wave goodbye on your home territory. And I'm not saying anybody deserves that opportunity, but I think David Warner's done enough. And I'm sure in the next couple of Test matches, particularly in Perth, where he likes the bouncy deck, I would say, particularly on the back of a bit of controversy, the summer of cricket. I heard his comment the other day, the summer of cricket wouldn't be the same without a bit of a headline or two. I'd be amazed if he didn't get a few runs in the next week or so.
Yeah, he's also signalled that he might want to play on to the next ODI World Cup, which is scheduled for 2027. Do you think he's probably still going to be Australia's best option at the top of the order in 3.5 years' time?
He's fit enough. That's the huge admiration that I have for David Warner, the fitness levels and the drive that he has, and the role model that he is within that to send the message to all these young players that are coming through that, to play for so long and to be so active and to run between the wickets with so much pace and power, you've got to be fit. I thought in the World Cup, Australia looked a fit team. I look at the England side that I've studied over the last few years in white ball cricket. Great team. They didn't look fit. England didn't look like they had the legs to play in those hot conditions in India. And I think Warner's a real good leader in that regard for all the next generation coming through, that you have to be fit. You have to dedicate your time to fitness and making sure that you're looking after your body. Whether he's going to be good enough is going to be the question in a few years' time. I think his fitness will be okay because he works on it, but whether he'll be good enough, and if I was Australia, I'd be hoping that he's not there because a new generation has come through and a younger set of players have pushed him out of the way by performances and producing some magic. But I wouldn't rule it out. I thought Jimmy Anderson was going to retire about 5 years ago. He's still going. So these players can carry on a little bit longer than in my generation because of the way that they look after their bodies.